Hi, Meta here. If I had $1 for every time someone told me, you just need to focus on one thing, I could probably retire from all the things I never focused on. And here's the truth. I used to believe them. I used to think that my scattered energy, my endless ideas, my inability to sit still meant that there was something wrong with me. But I've come to realize that what most people call too much is actually my magic. I have ADHD, a smidge of it. Not the cute, distracted, oh look, a squirrel version that people joke about, but the kind that keeps your brain firing ideas faster than your body can act on them. The kind that makes you start 3 projects before breakfast and forget to eat lunch because you've suddenly built a whole new life plan in your own head. For years, I saw it as chaos, and now I know that it is creative fire. ADHD is not a flaw, it's a rhythm. And when you learn to dance with it instead of fight it, it becomes your greatest ally. Let me give you an example. I pivot a lot. In my business, my interests, my creative work, my focus, I am always evolving, always. And for the longest time, I thought that made me flaky, like I couldn't commit. But here's what I've realized. Every pivot was me following the next breadcrumb on the path of my purpose. The world loves people who specialize. Pick a niche, they say. But what if your niche is you? What if your gift is connecting the dots that other people can't see because they've never allowed themselves to wander? That's how my ADHD brain works. It's constantly zooming out, seeing patterns, pulling ideas from one world into another. And that's not chaos. That's cross-pollination. That's innovation. I think a lot of women in midlife relate to this, even if they've never been diagnosed. Because for decades, we've been told to be consistent, responsible, predictable, organized. And we did it. We built families, careers, lives that made sense on paper. Not me, of course. But somewhere around 40 or 50, something in you starts to rebel. You feel this pull towards freedom, to experiment, to try new things, to rediscover who you are under all the roles. And the funny thing is that rebellion looks a lot like ADHD. The racing mind, the sudden urges, the hyper-focus on what lights you up, the inability to tolerate things and people that drain you anymore. I think midlife itself is one big diagnosis of, I can't fake this anymore. So if you're watching this and you've been calling yourself inconsistent or flaky or scattered, stop. You are not broken. You are a creative being rediscovering her own flow. Now, that doesn't mean that it's easy. ADHD can be frustrating as hell, even if you don't have it. I've lost count of how many tabs I've had open in my brain and on my laptop, and how many brilliant ideas died halfway through because my focus got hijacked by something shiny. But here's what I've learned to do differently. Instead of fighting my energy, I build with it. I've stopped forcing myself into systems that drain me. Instead, I design around my strengths. That's why AI fits me so well. If I know my focus shifts fast, I batch create. If I know I get bored easily, I rotate projects, not abandon them, just cycle back when the energy returns. If I know I thrive on novelty, I let myself explore, but I ground it with one simple question. Does this move me toward the life I actually want? Because when you ask that, the noise fades. And AI can help you with that as well. When I was younger, I chased validation. I thought productivity equaled worth. Now, at 58, soon 59, I've learned that my value isn't in how linear I am, it's in how alive I am. And my ADHD doesn't make me scattered, it makes me alive. It keeps me curious, creative, adaptable. It's the reason I can reinvent myself over and over and still have the courage and the energy to start again. And here's something I want to say to every woman watching who recognizes herself in this. You don't need to apologize for how your brain works. You don't need to be consistent in the way the world defines it. Your version of consistency might look like constantly evolving, and that's okay. You're not meant to sit still. You're meant to flow. We're women. I know a lot of women who tell me, Mette, I feel like I can't stick with anything. And my answer is always, maybe you're not supposed to. Maybe you're meant to follow the energy, not obligation. Ooh. That doesn't mean that you don't finish things. It means you finish when what feels alive, not what feels dead. And that shift changes everything. You understand what I'm saying? Do you feel it? Because midlife is not about locking yourself into what you built before. It's about realizing that you have permission to rebuild, to reimagine, and to reawaken. You've already proven that you can do responsibility. You've already proven you can survive chaos. Now the question is, can you let yourself thrive in freedom? Let me tell you something that changed how I see my ADHD. A friend once said, "You're not distracted. You're just absorbing the world faster than most people can handle." And that landed so deeply because that's how it feels. The constant swirl of beauty, ideas, sensation, possibilities. It's not distraction. It's abundance of attention. So now, instead of trying to narrow it down, I let it guide me. When something catches my attention, I ask, is this calling me or is it just shiny? And when it's a true call, I go for it, even if it means pivoting again. So if you've ever called yourself inconsistent, hear this. You're not inconsistent. You're in tune with change. You're not unfocused. You're multifaceted. You're not too much. You're finally enough of yourself. I think we're entering a new era of what success looks like. It's no longer the woman who does one thing perfectly forever. It's the woman who dares to keep evolving, keep learning, and keep blooming. That's success. That's abundance. That is freedom. So yeah, I pivot a lot, but I've learned that every pivot is a prayer, a conversation with life itself. Each one says, I'm still curious. I'm still here. I'm still becoming. If this resonates with you, tell me in the comments. Do you recognize yourself in this? Do you pivot a lot too, or do you want to? Do you ever feel like your ideas outpace your energy? I'd love to hear how you navigate that. What helps you stay inspired without burning out? And if you're new here, welcome to Messy Magic Midlife. This is a space for women 40, 50, 60 and beyond who are reinventing what freedom, creativity, and truth looks like. Subscribe, share this with a friend who's all over the place as you are, and remember, you're not scattered. You're expansive. You're not lost. You're exploring. And in that exploration, you'll find your magic. See you soon again. Let's talk. I'll be back soon. Bye.